Use this quick installation video to install your 3D printed dash vent to your second generation Acura Legend. This product is currently only available at Evans Restoration and Design. You can find us on Facebook or follow the link in the video description to our online store. To access the screws that hold this assembly in your dash, you must remove the console trim from around your shifter and radio. For manual transmissions, you simply move the boot collar downward and then unscrew the shift knob. If you have an automatic transmission, there's simply a plastic ring around the shifter that should pop loose upward. Then you should remove the two Phillips head screws that are inside the coin tray. I would suggest using plastic pry tools. The rear end of the console trim needs to move upward to release the clips, with the forward area of the trim needing to move rearward towards you to release the clips. You can now move the console trim out of the way and disconnect the electrical connection. Remove your factory radio by removing the Phillips head screws from the outside, and there may be one or two more Phillips head screws underneath mounting towards the rear of the radio. Disconnect any electrical connections and move the radio out of the way. You should now be able to see two Phillips head screws that hold the entire vent assembly and climate control unit into the dash. If you can get a plastic pry tool behind the plastic tab that those screws were holding in, you can use it to assist you in popping the assembly out of the dash. There are still two metal tabs at the top, and these can be tricky to remove the entire assembly around the top area. You may have to pry gently around the top to get those clips to come loose. I will add a special note here that my 3D printed assembly has a lower profile tab on the top and is much less difficult to remove from the dash later. Disconnect the electrical connections to the back of the climate control unit and remove the entire assembly from the car. Now it's time to swap your climate control unit to your new 3D printed vent assembly. There are two plastic clips in this location. I recommend cutting those to remove them. You will be provided with replacement clips with your center vent kit. Then remove the two Phillips head screws that hold the climate control unit to the vent assembly. You may need to pry on the two tabs at the bottom of the climate control to get it to release, but it should come right out. Install the climate control unit from the back side of the new assembly and install the provided stainless steel screws. I recommend you use the provided stainless steel screws so you don't accidentally use one of the larger interior screws from your car. Install the screws only tight enough to hold the assembly in place. Do not over-tighten the screws. Make sure you install the provided plastic clips that fasten the assembly to that metal bracket. When installing the assembly back to your vehicle, make sure all your wiring connectors are plugged in and that the wiring harness stays out of the way of the duct. If you feel resistance when trying to install the assembly, the duct may not be aligning correctly or wiring might be in the way. It would be a good idea to turn your car on and make sure everything is operating as it should to verify the electrical connections got plugged in all the way. You can now reinstall the two screws underneath the assembly, reinstall your radio, and reinstall your console trim and shifter. You can now enjoy having a brand new, uncracked center vent assembly in your Legend.